We did it. San Diego is officially become the most unaffordable city in all of the United States. We have beat out New York, San Francisco, and LA, making it number one, which is insane to me because I grew up in LA and I moved to San Diego over 20 years ago because it was so much more affordable. The lifestyle here was so much better than LA. The streets were clean. Housing was affordable. You can rent a really cool apartment, like walking distance to the beach on a very small, modest salary. In LA, only the wealthy really lived at the beach. So that has changed. And so if you're thinking about moving to San Diego, I want to make sure that you are aware of these 10 major issues before making your move. All right, number one on the list is the cost of living. And I'm actually going to break this down into 4 sections because the cost of living is vague. And so we're going to start with number 1, and that is the cost of real estate. So if you want to buy a house in San Diego, your average home, and I'm talking not a fancy neighborhood, not a fancy home, a typical 3-bedroom, 2-bathroom, 1,500 square foot house is going to cost you about $1 million. That is a pretty hefty price tag for like an average house. I know when I was growing up, when you're thinking about $1 million house, you're thinking about a beautiful luxury home, maybe even a mansion 30, 40 years ago. But today, $1 million house here in San Diego gets you a regular house, not even a beautiful renovated one. So real estate's expensive. You'll just rent. Rents here, my friend, have gone up like crazy. Not in the most popular parts of San Diego, not right next to the beach, not way out in the burbs, but your average home in the center of the county in a normal suburban neighborhood is going to cost you between $4,000 and $5,000 a month. So that's when you kind of say, well, if I'm paying $5,000 a month for rent, why don't I buy? And this is the conundrum that people have here living in San Diego. And that's the problem we have in San Diego. Rents are high, might as well buy. So home prices being this high, the income that you need to bring home is about $250,000 to be able to buy. So that's great if you have 2 incomes making about $125,000. But if you're a single person, you need to be bringing home at least $250,000. So that was cost of living A. Real estate and rental prices are very high. All right, cost of living number 2 is the price of gas. The price of gas is significantly higher here in California and in San Diego than that is in the majority of the rest of the country. On the low end, we're at $4, and on the high end, we're about $7. And I would say the average gas price per gallon right now is between $5 and $6, which is insane. So a regular old car is going to cost about $80, $90 to fill her up. That is expensive, especially if you're commuting. All right, now cost of living number 3, let's talk about food. So groceries are expensive here too. They're on the higher end. So a carton of eggs costs you between $8 and $9, which is expensive. You could get some real cheap ones for about $6, but I stay away from those. And a gallon of milk is going to cost you anywhere from $5 to $7. So compare the cost of eggs and milk in your area to San Diego, and I'm really curious, how does that stack up? Drop it in the comments. All right, so that wraps up for the cost of living. We've got high real estate and rents. We've got high grocery costs and high gas. Number 2 on the list is we have the highest state income tax of all of the country. I mean, I know there's a lot of states that don't even have income tax, which is beautiful. I couldn't even imagine. We'd basically be saving between 10 and 12% on our taxes if we didn't have to pay state income tax, which is what California's income tax is. On the low ends, it's between 7 and 8%, depending on how much you're making. But really, in order to survive here, no one's paying really that low in state income tax. So you're paying closer between 10 and 13%. Number 3 on the list is utilities. Utilities here are also expensive. So SDG&E, that's our gas and electric company. The average home here in San Diego's utility bill for their SDG&E, their gas and electric, is between $350 and $500 a month. And that's usually in the summertime when it's hot and we need to run that AC. If you do not have solar, your bill can be higher than that. Actually, I've heard of people having bills as high as $600, $700 a month, which can really, really hurt you. That is why solar is really popular here. If you own a home, you want to get solar so that you don't have to worry about running your AC or running your heat. Hopefully it's electric. In the winter, it doesn't ever get that cold, but in San Diego, we kind of become babies and 60, 50 degrees is really cold to us. So we run the heat and the AC, and that that electric bill can really hurt you at the end of the month. So utilities are expensive, and that includes water. So we are forever in a drought in California, forever. As long as I can remember, I grew up in California, and there always seemed to be some kind of drought. So there's all these precautions we take. There have been times where we're not allowed to water our lawns, so everyone's lawns are dead. So what happens is a lot of people ended up getting turf or just doing like this low scaping, which is like a rock garden or kind of like a desert motif sand and like cactuses and stuff, which, if it's done tastefully, it could look really good. But everything looks very dead and dry. And in the summertime, Noah's got beautiful lawns here. And vegetation is, not a big thing in Southern California, especially when you're living closer to the high desert type communities, which a lot of Southern California is, including San Diego. So it goes back to the utilities, because we're talking about utilities. And if you own a home or are renting a home, you pay for your water, and your water bill is expensive too. So it's an average about $250 every 2 months. So it comes out to about $125 a month that you're also paying for water. Now get this. We actually moved to a home a couple of years ago out in the rural community, and there's no city water here. So we are on a well. So I was like, score, we have free water because we're sourcing it from nature. We have a well that goes 1,000 feet deep. And because of this whole drought thing, our Governor Newsom, has done so much for us, and wants to start taxing families or properties that have wells and put meters on and start metering our water and charging us for the water that we're getting from the earth. So don't know how you feel about that. I think it's pretty jacked up because then no one's paying for our maintenance for our well, and there's no water coming here from the city. We're on our own off the grid, but now they're going to meter the water and monitor it and charge us for it. It's a bill that they're trying to pass. So I digress, but that's also another con of California is the politics here are so extreme, and they're really just passing the buck majorly to all the citizens of California. And so it's become very expensive in multiple ways, and ways that don't even exist yet. They're finding new ways to charge us to live here. So that wraps up number 3, which is the cost of utilities here are very expensive as well. Number 4 on the list is we don't have great public transportation here. You can't really rely on it in Southern California anywhere. We have buses, we have some trains, and we have some trolleys that will take you into areas, but you're still commuting, driving really to the trolley station to take it maybe from North County down to downtown San Diego, or from East County, Santee to downtown, or whatever it may be. But when you're living in Southern California and when you're living in San Diego, which is what this video is about, you pretty much need a car to get around. There's no way around it. So it's another expense. I've never not had a car. It's just something that every family has, and usually more than one. Everyone needs their own car to get around that is independent and mobile. So that is another expense for you is cars. And car insurance is not cheap here either. And again, we talked about gas already. So gas and car insurance isn't cheap. So to have a car here is not cheap. And our taxes in San Diego and California are not cheap. So you're paying, the tax you pay on buying a car is significant. So wrap it up. Number 4 is transportation here sucks. So you do need a car, and that is going to add to your bottom line. All right, number 5 on the list is parking. So if you're living in the suburbs, parking is not going to be an issue. Your home probably comes with a 2-car garage and a driveway and plenty of street parking in your neighborhood. But when you're living in neighborhoods that are closer to the city, whether you're right in downtown San Diego or any of the beach communities like PB or La Jolla or OB, or even in more urban neighborhoods like Hillcrest, Mission Hills, North Park, Thermal Heights, South Park, all those hipster type communities, the parking there is a nightmare. A lot of these homes don't even have driveways with garages, or the garages that were built with the home originally are like this 1-car garage that will never fit a car now. So they're just basically used as storage. And also, as these areas became more and more popular and the need for housing was there, but we have no more land to build, developers found ways to go in and pick up these homes that are maybe falling apart, that are deteriorating, and grazing these small, 800 square foot bungalows and replacing them with maybe a fourplex or a small apartment building that offers absolutely no parking. And when that happens over and over and over again in these neighborhoods like in PB or North Park or Normal Heights, the city wasn't built for this many people to be moving in these smaller units where you're having now 3 or 4 families live in this small 15,000 square foot block where before you had just one family there. So there's no parking, and the city is not building any structures or infrastructure to support that. Instead, they're pushing for people to ditch the cars and do more walking and biking and using the trolley station, which sounds great in theory. I just don't know how realistic it is because that's not how the city was originally set up. So just keep in mind that when you were living closer to the city, parking is a nightmare. So if you get a home or a condo or a townhouse that comes with its own garage, that is amazing. But when your friends and family come to visit you, it may be a little bit of a nightmare to find street parking. All right, number 6 on the list is crime. So crime has gone up a lot, especially in the urban communities. Unfortunately, crime has become a huge problem in the big metro cities in California. San Francisco and LA are way worse than San Diego, which is great. I'm thankful for us not having the same kind of problems yet. I think they're coming. But these laws were passed that if there's any kind of theft of $1,000 or less, I think that you cannot even chase the person or try to get them arrested or touch them. And if you do, you actually are the one that goes to jail. Like, you need to stay out of their way. So a lot of stores and department stores and even mom and pop shops and small businesses are just getting robbed left and right. And I was actually at a shoe store with my kids buying shoes for back to school. And, I've seen this stuff on the news, but it was the first time we saw it happen right in front of us. I was at the register waiting to pay, and a couple guys came in and they ran out with stacks and stacks and stacks of shoes. It was probably really well planned out because they knew exactly what they were getting. I don't know, somebody tried on shoes and kind of left them on the side, and then somebody else came and swooped them up. But that was pretty shitty to see and to be with my kids who were at the time 7 and 6 and 8, and they're like, what's going on? And the store basically got robbed and they couldn't do anything about it. And that's not normal. That shouldn't be normal. And it's pretty normal here. So that is a big red about San Diego and just California in general right now. All right, number 7 on the list, and this is probably the hardest one to talk about, is we have a major homeless problem here in California. So it's in San Francisco, which is god-awful bad. It's in LA, which is incredibly, it's so bad. And San Diego is not off limits. Our downtown San Diego, tent city, it's horrible. It's been bad for as long as I can remember, and it's just gotten so much worse over the past few years. And it's not just in downtown, it's at the beaches. So when we take our kids to the beach, you'll see passed out or drugged up homeless people everywhere. I feel bad for them. I don't want my kids to see this stuff. The streets can smell like I've seen people take a poop in the middle of the street in the middle of the day. I mean, it just sucks for everybody. And there needs to be some kind of solution that the government needs to come in and help and resolve and really take care of. But it's a combination of people being homeless because it's expensive, but also there's always an enormous drug problem going on. But I just feel like it's gotten just worse and worse and worse. So we have a big homeless problem here, and it's not just in downtown. It's not just in seedy parts of town. It's not just in certain beaches. It's at the beaches, in the burbs. I'm in East County now, and I see we have homeless people all over in El Cajon too, and at the trolley stations, and it's sad. And so I have to mention it because it is a really shitty thing. I grew up here, and I didn't realize homeless people aren't just everywhere all over the country. It's just really bad in California. I'm sure there's other areas that are really bad too, but it's just always been a chronic issue here that we can't seem to figure out. All right, number 9 on the list of shitty things in San Diego is going to be The schools. So we have some really great schools. We do. There's some really great pockets that have great school districts. But as a whole, I wouldn't say that the schools in San Diego County are great. Our kids go to private school because it's easier to send them to private school than to try to move into a neighborhood that has a really great school system, because the elementary school may be amazing, but the junior high sets or the high school sets, maybe the high school is amazing, but the junior high or elementary sets, like, it's just this thing. And there are definitely some amazing areas in San Diego. So like Poway School District. Poway is known for their amazing schools, and Rancho Bernardo is known for their amazing schools. And I have friends who have moved into those areas while their kids were in a school grade age, from kindergarten all the way to high school. And the second their kids finished high school and were off to college or out of the house, they moved out of those areas, because those areas are great, but they are far, and they're the burbs, and you're far from like San Diego Metro or City Center. And so there's definitely sacrifice when you have kids, that you may be living in certain areas to be able to provide them with a better quality of life in their schools. But overall, in general, just the public school system here in California does not have a good reputation at all. So I have to mention it. If you are a parent or you're starting that season of life where you're going to be going into having kids and schools are a big thing for you, you can always consider private school. But again, it's another expense in California. All right, last but not least, number 10, we're going to end it with a light note, and that is our oceans are freaking cold. We have the most beautiful coastal beaches in all of California, but the water is flipping cold. Even in the summertime, when it's nice and hot out, when we're going to the beach, it takes a lot to get in that water. And yeah, you can get used to it. And yeah, some days the water does warm up to about 80 degrees, but it is not like our friends in Florida and on the East Coast, where come summertime, you have nice warm water that you can just swim in. No. Even the surfers are wearing wetsuits in the summertime. So number 10, the ocean is flipping cold. So even after all of that, you still want to move to San Diego, I would love to help you. All my information is below. Give me a call, shoot me a text, send me a message, just schedule a Zoom with me so that I can help you make it a smooth move here to San Diego. And if you're looking for more information on the different neighborhoods here in San Diego, make sure to check out this video, or this video, or this one, or this one. I've got videos covering everything from San Diego rural to East County San Diego, the beach communities, your walkable neighborhoods, and everything in between. My name is Emily Benito. I'm a San Diego real estate agent, and my passion is helping people just like you. If this is your first time on the channel, make sure to hit that subscribe button, notification bell, so that you'll be the first to know every time a new video is dropped here about living in San Diego.